Everything in this world is for sale, and I'm willing to buy everything in this world. That's why I walk around Gali say, Gali, I walk around the different streets. Everything is for sale except one thing, and that is Bhagwan. Bhagwan is not for sale. Bhagwan is not for sale. And so that reminded me of my Guruji in India. And so on. When I had my Upnayan Sanskar, I had my Guruji, and he was Pandit Prasad, nice man, beautiful man. He was such a father figure. You could, in the middle of the street, in the busiest of all places, you can get on your knees and bow to his feet, because he was such a humble and loving person, such a good man of character, just good quality. And but when I went to India, I had to find a Guruji there as well. And this individual was like that, very educated, very knowledgeable. When you looked at him, he looked like a simple person, like he didn't have anything much. But he was rich. He was rich in what? In knowledge. He was rich in knowledge. He was a retired Jyotish professor, and his name was Pandit Pandit, and his richness was in here. So he told me on my first meeting, when I asked him what his tuition rate was, how much he charges to teach, and he said to me, Tiwari ji, the Vedas are not for sale. You hear that? The Vedas are not for sale. And so I was kind of taken back. Why is he telling me this, So listening to the story as I'm coming here and remembering what Guruji had said, there is no difference in the scripture and Bhagwanji. They're one in the same. Except in this Kali Yuga, greater importance and greater value and greater weightage is given unto the word of Bhagwan than even his form. So there is greatness, much more so in the divine words of Bhagwan, which is found where? In the scriptures. And that is the Vedas, the 18 Puranas, the Upanishad, the Shrutis, Smritis, the Mahabharata, Ramcharitmanas, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. All of that is even greater than the form of Bhagwan. And either one, they're not for sale. So how do you gain Bhagwan? You gain Bhagwan by becoming a magnet. How do you become a magnet? That's a kind of a weird one. By allowing love to develop in your heart. Love not for the materialism of this world, but love for who? For Bhagwan. Hari Vyapaka Sarvatra Samana Premate Prakato Mai Jana. Where do you find Bhagwan? Where there's love. Where there's love. And this great devotee, so fascinated he was with the attractions of this world, that he saw this beautiful lady and he followed her. He followed her and he went to her home. And back then the home had big gates, It had with doors. And so the outer parameter of the home had a wall and door. And so she went into the home and she closed the door, and he was left stranded out by the door. He was following this lady, And he was most disheveled. He had long hair, his clothes all torn up and thing, And then he knocked on the door. And the lady comes and she looks at him and she thinks he's a sadhu. He's a sadhu. And brings him into the house, give him a good seat to sit on, and brings water and washes his foot and bring water to drink and bring food. And treated him in the most noblest of manner. Beautiful hospitality. She looked at him as a Swami, as a good person, a noble person, a sadhu. And he looked at her in different ways. He saw a beautiful lady. See? And I was sharing this thought with someone else. in that when God looks at us, He doesn't see negativity. God doesn't see our shortcomings. God doesn't look at us and say, you're short or you're not rich. He does not see our frailties. God doesn't see the negative aspect of us, but He sees the positive things. That is why we are so weak in our thinking that we are quick to look at the negative aspect of somebody. We are also judgmental, and we fail to realize that we are worse than that individual that we're judging. And so this man sitting there and enjoying this hospitality out of the kindness and goodness of the heart of this individual whom he was so attracted to in the most material way, that something clicked in his mind and he said, no, this mind of mine is wretched. And I've got to put an end to this. And the best way to put an end to this is to close off the thing that allows all these negative depictions to come into my thought process. And so he asked the lady for 2 needles. 2 needles, yeah. And she brings the needles, thinking that he wanted to mend his clothes. He wanted to mend his clothes. And as he had those 2 needles in his hands, he takes the 2 needles and he pierces his eyes. Pierces his eyes so he doesn't have to see the materialism of this world. And that individual became of greatness. That is why in the Gita, Bhagavan says, you've been a monster all your life, you've been a bad person, all the shortcomings. I think is chapter 9, verse 30 or 31. But as soon as you've had the thought that I've got to change and I've got to be better, and you say to Bhagavan, you've got to help me. And so Bhagavan looks at you. He doesn't see the demon in you, but rather he sees what? The sadhu. He sees the noble. Instantly, that rakshas, that demon, becomes a sadhu. And that individual who pierced his eyes became of greatness, and he was given the name of Surdas. And Surdas was a great devotee of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And one day, he's walking on the road. I'm going off in tangents here, no? Walking on the road, and a hunter, he dug a pit. You know, the hunter is always preying on animals, you know. We ourselves are preying on other creatures of this world, you know, because we think we're strong, we think we're rich, we think we're more handsome. We get all these things, we think we're so better, you know. And so he's preying on the little animals, and he's hoping he's going to catch one by digging a hole, covering the pit with branches and leaves and all that. And what happens? Surdas, he's blind and he's walking, and he falls right into the pit. He feels unconscious in the bottom of the pit, and when he's awakened, when he wakes up, he starts to feel, you know, blind people, they stick their hand out, and he's feeling, and he's going around in circles, and he's unable to get himself out of that pit. And what does he do? He turns to Bhagavan. He turns in Bhagavan. Because he became a great devotee, a great Bhagavan, because he allowed from that moment to develop within his heart love for Prabhu, love for Bhagavan. And he prayed to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan always listens. Bhagavan always keeps an eye on whom? His devotees. And Bhagavan came, and Bhagavan lifted him out of the pit. And what happened? Bhagavan, now he's safely on the road. He's okay now. And so Bhagavan is starting to release his arm. And he says to Bhagavan, he says, you're letting go of me. Physically, you're letting go of me today. But I want to tell you, Bhagavan, that I have kept you a prisoner. I have kept you captive. Where? Within the confines of my heart. And you will never, ever be able to remove yourself, take yourself out of my heart, because you will be held a prisoner for all of eternity. And so, this dharma of ours is so beautiful because it is founded on nothing but love. And the more love you have for Bhagwan and for your fellow brothers and your fellow sisters and God's creation, the more beautiful you become. Why is that? Because it increases the measure of His divinity within you. And so I want to ask you to join with me as you have chosen beautifully in this month of Magh on this purnima, which is so blessed that we ought to focus on Bhagwan Hari, Bhagwan Vishnu, Bhagwan Satya Narayan Ji. And it says in this mantra, it says here in this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhyayet Satyam Gunatitam Gunatraya Samanvitam Dhyayet Satyam Gunatitam Gunatraya Samanvitam Lokanatham Tilokesham Kaustubha Bharanam Harim Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satya Swarupa. He is the form of what? Satya. Satya. Truth. Guno se atit, and all the qualities, all the most noble. As the milk is boiling and the cream comes on top, we are all excited about not what's left at the bottom, but what's left on the top. So Bhagwan is the cream of the milk, the most beautiful, the most sweetest, all the finest of qualities, the most regal, the most noblest, that is found where? In my Prabhu. Tino Guno Sahit, and he is with what? The Tino Guno. What is that? Come on. Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. And so while this Maya and this world and all of us are entangled in this jal, in this net of these three qualities that makes it very difficult for us to live our lives, Bhagavan remains above. He is the Lord of the three gunas. He is the Loki ke Swami, the world below this world, the world above. In fact, devotees, there are 14 spheres, and all of creation and beyond, who is the Lord Master? It is Bhagwan. It is Bhagwan. All these individuals throughout the history of our dharma, they all want to become Him. But you know, Ekam Brahma Dvitiya Nasti, there is no two, there is only one. And He reigns supreme. He is the master of all. Kaustubha Mani Dharan, and He has the Kaustubha Mani. He has this beautiful gem that is on his body. Neela Varana, his complexion is what? Is blue. Yeah. Pitambar Dhari, and he loves, when you do his puja, you got to get Pitambar. He's fashionable, you know, Bhagwanji. He likes to dress nicely. And so you got to get a silken, a yellow dhoti for Bhagwan. So you got to get the very best of Basta because he is deserving. Lachmi or Brigu Lata se Rangrit Vakshastal Vale, and Lakshmi Ma is always where? Is always with him, caressing his feet. And Brigu, the great saint, the greatest saint, came and he thought that Bhagwan was ignoring him. And so what did he do? He got very upset. In anger is so destructive. In anger, he gave Bhagwan a kick. Could you imagine that? What nerve. And instead of Bhagwan being offended by the king of this great rishi, Bhagwan was worried more so about the impact, the pain that would be caused on his foot. Bhagwan did not want him to suffer. This is how compassionate he is. Govind. Gokul ke Anand. He's the one who has bestowed happiness and bliss to where? To Gokul and his inhabitants. This Bhagwan, Pujit Bhagwan, Brahma Adi ko se Pujit. Brahma and all the devatas, they do what? They worship him. This Bhagwan is worshipped by all these divine deities, the divine individuals, Brahma, Shiva, Shri Hari ka dhyan kare, and they not only worship him, but they spend every moment contemplating, meditating upon him. This is the greatness of this Bhagwan that we have all come tonight on this cold night to celebrate and to worship. And that is why we should commend ourselves, you know. We should commend ourselves because we have done that which is righteous and beneficial to our existence. And that is what we have to keep in mind. How can we do the best so that we are not only this material existence of ours, but our spiritual existence is enhanced in the most beautiful way. And so Bhagwan, through his grace, through his blessings, he has allowed us to be with him tonight, to celebrate him in this divine form. And let us do this. Let us meditate upon him. Let us call upon him. Let him know how much we love him, how much faith we have in him, and ask Bhagwan for his graces, his blessings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhyayet Satyam Gunatitam Gunatraya Samanitam Lokanatham Tilokesham Kaustubhabharanam Harim Neelavarnam Pitavastram Srivatsapada Bhushitam Govindam Gokulanandam Brahmajayrapi Pujitam Om Namo Bhagavate Satyadevaya Namah Om Namo Bhagavate Satyadevaya Namah Om Namo Bhagavate Satyadevaya Namah. Shri Satyanarayan Bhagwan ki jai. Dhyanante Pushpam Samarpayami.